One dad would say, the love of money is the root of all evil. The other, the lack of money is the root of all evil. Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Can you believe that the Rich Dad, Poor Dad series of 18 books by Robert Kiyosaki has sold over 26 million copies? Yep. And there's a reason for every success story, as well. By addressing what must be one of the most difficult areas for all of us, money, Kiyosaki captures our attention and gives us some powerful ideas to think about and implement into our lives. He has a talent for getting to the heart of the matter. One dad had a habit of saying, "I can't afford it." The other dad forbade those words to be used. He insisted I say, "How can I afford it?" By juxtaposing his best friend's entrepreneurial, wealthy father, Rich Dad, with his biological, educated, government-employed father, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki creates a compelling narrative about how the rich think somewhat differently than the poor and the middle class. Since there are so many big ideas to discuss and so little time, this book, like so many others, presents a challenge. So let's start working now. Work and money. Just be aware that most people's commitment to their jobs is motivated by fear. The anxiety of failing to pay their bills. The worry of losing your job. The worry that one will run out of money. The dread of beginning again. That is the cost of going to school to learn a trade or profession and then working to make money. Most people become slaves to money before becoming enraged with their boss. That, unfortunately, sums it up, don't you think? Who are you? Are you working a job you detest out of concern that you won't be able to support yourself on your own? Afterward, did you blame your boss for your situation? Not a wise move. That would fall under the category of being a victim, which psychologists and philosophers agree is not where you want to play. As T. Harv Eker says in his inspiring and practical, and surprisingly funny, book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, you can be a victim or you can be rich, but you can't be both. Listen up. Every time, and I mean every time, you blame, justify, or complain, you are slitting your financial throat. Have you ever had a dream that has been thwarted by fear? If so, you might want to consider the following. If you weren't afraid, what would you do? What would you dare to dream and attempt if success was a 100% certainty? Alrighty. What baby steps can you take to achieve your goals, then? It's not necessary to leave your job tomorrow or take any other significant steps, but how can you move past your fear and take a step in the direction of your dream? While you ponder that, remember Emerson's wisdom, always, 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 always do what you are afraid to do. And, he also advises, do the thing you fear and the death of fear is certain. I guess he felt pretty strongly about it. Money psychosis. Being attached to money is just as psychotic as avoiding it. Where do you rank in terms of money psychosis? Linked to it? Avoid it? Or actively participating in the circulation? I adore that word, especially when applied to money. Of plenty? There is a way out, which is good news. Choose your thoughts. The only way out is to face our fear and confront our greed, our weaknesses, and our neediness. And we can escape by using our minds to control our thoughts. Do you make decisions based on what you think, or do you often find yourself acting solely on your feelings? We should practice carefully and consciously selecting our thoughts, Rich Dad would advise. While you're at it, let's all work on developing our financial literacy. I worry that a lot of people are too preoccupied with money and neglect their greatest asset, which is their education. People will benefit greatly from the changes if they are willing to adapt, remain open-minded, and learn. I'm worried about those people if they believe that spending money will make their problems go away. Problems are solved by intelligence, and money is made. Money that lacks financial acumen will quickly disappear. Are you investing in your financial knowledge? If you are watching this video, I would say yes. As Byron Katie says in Loving What Is, the greatest stock market you can invest in is yourself. Finding this truth is better than finding a gold mine. So, what else can you do to invest in your financial intelligence? For now, remember. Rule number 1, buy assets. You need to know the difference between an asset and a liability and buy assets. Do you know what an asset is and what a liability is? Which one are you purchasing? Rich people acquire asset. The poor and middle class get liabilities, but they think they are assets. Is your home an asset or a liability, according to this quiz? Play music from Jeopardy, here. Okay. Time's up. Liability or asset? If you answered liability, you win. If you said asset, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but Kiyosaki says that your mortgage is a liability. How could that be? According to Kiyosaki, an asset is something that puts money in my pocket. Something that costs me money is called a liability. And he continues, if you want to be rich, simply spend your life buying assets. Spend your life buying liabilities if you want to be poor or middle class. It's not knowing the difference that causes most of the financial struggle in the real world. Why is it a problem to invest all of your money in a liability like your house? Consider this. Opportunity costs. Knowing the difference between an asset and a liability is the most important rule. Once you know the difference, you should focus on only buying income-generating assets. The concept of opportunity costs was one of my favorite lessons in Economics 1 at UCLA. As you may already know, the idea is simple. Whenever we spend time or money on an activity, we need to look at both the time or money we invested and what we could have done with the money to figure out how much it cost. Because, of course, if we choose one course of action when we could have chosen another, the potential cost to us is enormous, much greater than the actual expense. Make sense? Let Robert say it in his own words, the biggest losses are the ones that come from missed chances. If all of your money is in your house, you may have to work harder because your money keeps going out of the expense column instead of the asset column. This is a classic middle-class cash flow problem. Wealth. Wealth is a person's ability to survive so many number of days forward, or if I stopped working today, how long could I survive? I prefer to view wealth from a higher perspective that takes into account some other crucial factors, but for the time being, let's use Kiyosaki's perspective. How is the state of your wealth? How long could you make it without a job if you stopped working today? Please take a deep breath if that question made you gasp and make you want to tear this note up and/or flee. Honor the process of increasing your financial aptitude, accept what is, and get your mojo cooking. And if you have a nice runway, go for it. How are you going to use that money to improve the world and produce more asset? In either case, remember, the single most powerful asset we all have is our mind. If properly trained, it can produce enormous wealth in what seems like an instant. For more information on the practical applications of financial literacy, consult the book. Let's look at the barriers to wealth creation for the time being. Overcoming obstacles. There are 5 main explanations as to why individuals with financial literacy may still lack an abundance of asset columns. 1. Fear. 2. Pessimism. 3. Laziness. 4. Bad habits. 5. Self-confidence. Overcoming challenges is the main theme of the book's conclusion. It's very cool. Some of my preferred big ideas. Fear, again. Each and every one of us is endowed with extraordinary potential and talents. But the one thing that prevents us from moving forward is some level of self-doubt. We are more held back by a lack of confidence than a lack of technical knowledge. We hit on this theme a little earlier. And in case you didn't notice, we've brought it up almost every time so far. Question, again. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Focus. If you don't have much money but want to become wealthy, you must first become focused, not balanced. If you look at any successful person, you'll see that they didn't start out in a good place. People who are balanced go nowhere. They stay in one spot. To move forward, you must first become unbalanced. Just look at how you make progress walking. Before we continue, here in this channel we provide you with animated summaries of the best books to help you improve your life and achieve your personal goals. If you are interested, consider subscribing and liking the video.